Welcome to Mr. B's Home Music Lessons playlist, providing music lessons for you at home during the school closure period. I hope that everyone is keeping well and that you enjoy these videos. Thank you very much. Welcome to your weekly music rhythm lessons, short music theory lessons combining our musical and our mathematical skills. Okay, here is your second music rhythm lesson, and we're going to start off by sharing the answers from last week's lesson and then looking at this week's new tasks for you. Now, well done to everyone who submitted their answers via the Class Dojo system. I've had several responses from you, and everyone who submitted a response at all will get 1 point towards those eventual prizes, and everyone who got the answers right will then get 3 points. Also, Year 6, if you got the bonus challenge, which was to work out which song that was, you also get a bonus point as well. So 4 points on the table for anyone in Year 5 and 6 there with that extra challenge. Right, let's have a look at last week's answers and then we'll get on with this week's new challenges for you. So a couple of quick things I'm just adding into your knowledge bank at this stage. If you have a look on the screen, you will see I've added a couple of extra images there onto effectively our glossary page of musical rhythms. So you can see there next to the semiquavers and quavers words, I've added the individual notes there as well for you to see what they look like. So it's last week's challenge had us looking just at pairs or groups of 4 quavers or semiquavers. Yet this week there's going to be the odd individual note, so you've got to be aware of that. So when they stand on their own, they don't have the flat line. The line curves like a bit like a tail. So just have a good look at how they work and keep those in mind. You'll be needing that this week. Okay, first of all, Year 1 and 2, your challenge from last week is up on screen now, and your answer is 12. Hopefully you all got that right. If you have a look at the beginning, you can see there's 3 beats there at the beginning, 3 individual crotchets, so they're 1 beat each, that's 1, 2, 3. Then in the second bar, circled now, you've got 2 more crotchets worth 1 beat each, and then a minim worth 2 beats. So we're up to 4, 5, 6, 7 there. Then in the third bar, you've got 2 more minims, both worth 2 beats each. So you've got 8, 9, 10, 11, we're up to 11 beats there. And then in the last bar, you've got 1 individual crotchet, so that's 1 more beat, that's 12 beats in total. So there we are, last week's Year 1 and 2 answers. Okay, Year 3 and 4, your question is on screen now from last week, and your answer was 16. If you have a look at the first bar, you've got a crotchet first of all, followed by 2 pairs of quavers, so they are worth 1 beat each because they're all halves. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and then we've got a 4th crotchet on the end, a 4th beat on the end with that crotchet. So there's 4 beats in the first bar. Then in the second bar, we've got 2 minims worth 2 beats each, so there's another 4 beats there. In the third bar, we've got 2 more pairs of quavers, so that's another 4 halves. So 4 times a half is 2. And then at the end of that third bar, we've got a minim, which is 2 beats. And then finally in the 4th bar, we've got a semi-breve, so that's 4 beats there. So in total on that challenge is 16. Okay, and finally, Year 5 and 6, your challenge from last week. Here it is. And your answer is 14 and a half. So quite a tricky one there. 14 and a half beats is your answer. Let's just have a quick look at how that is. So in the first bar, we've got 2 crotchets followed by a dotted crotchet. Now remember, the dotted crotchet we said is worth, a dotted any note is worth 1.5 times its value. So a dotted crotchet is the 1 beat crotchet plus half of that 1 again. So that's actually 1.5 for a dotted crotchet. So in that first bar, we've got 1, 2, 3 crotchets. One of them's dotted, so that's 3.5. Plus those 2 semiquavers, those 2 quarter beats, so that's a half beat. Add that to the 3.5, and we've got 4 in that first bar. In the second bar, you've got a minim, which is 2 beats at the beginning of the bar, followed by a short rest, and then we've got a crotchet, which is another beat, and then 2 semiquavers, which are both quarter beats again. So that's 1, 2 beats at the beginning in the minim, a third beat on that crotchet, and then a half beat at the end and the 2 semiquavers. So that's 3.5 in the second bar, so up to 7.5 beats now. In the third bar, and actually the third bar is exactly the same, third and the 4th bar, if you have a look at the rhythms there, you've got a minim, a crotchet and 2 semiquavers. So 2 beats at the beginning, a 1 beat crotchet, and then the 2/4 beats, so basically a half beat at the end. So in all of those last 3 bars, you've got 3.5 beats. So 3.5 times 3 is of course 10.5. Plus we add the 4 beats from the first bar, that gives us 14.5 beats. So your answer, yes, 5 and 6 is 14.5 beats. That's also actually quite a tricky one to start you off on there. Don't worry, this week's is ever so slightly easier than that, just to make sure we're all following what we're doing. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look at this week's challenges. So year 1 and 2, first of all, your task is not too difficult. You've got some squiggly rests in there, some 1-beat crotchet rests, the squiggly lines. So don't be too distracted by those and count those beats carefully. There you are, this week's year 1 and 2 task. How many beats do you have on the screen? Okay, next up, year 3 and 4. This week's task is a little bit harder. You've got to think back to what we said at the beginning of the video. You've got some new notation there that we haven't looked at before. So have a good look at it, work out the number of beats and send in your answers. And year 5 and 6. Like I say, not quite as difficult as last week's, although the bars don't repeat themselves in the same way, so actually you need to account more carefully, so perhaps in some ways a little bit more challenging than last week's actually. So there we go. It's also a tune that I think you should know, so bonus point year 5 and 6 if you can guess or work out the tune and name the song. Okay. So there we go, everyone. Send in your answers. Remember, I'm making notes of all the points that people get, and there will be prizes at some point in the future. So keep working on those, keep sending the answers in, and do take care. Thank you.